All right, so how we all doing? Welcome back to my channel, Live from the End with Jay. We got another collab with the wonderful Matthew from Lawofassumption Backdoor. How you doing, bro? I hope you're doing fantastic. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. This is gonna be kind of like a live Q&A type of deal. I'm gonna be asking Matthew some questions. He might ask me some questions. We'll see how it goes. All right, so if there's anything you want to say, Matt, before I hop in, let me know.
No, just thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. All right, so the first question that I had was I wanted to know, what do you believe is the absolute most fastest way to manifest anything into this physical experience in the most loving way?
Okay, so in my opinion, and from my own personal experience, the fastest way to manifest anything and in a loving way is to utilize the morning and the evening when your subconscious mind is most available to get to, because your conscious mind is obviously shut down a little, to impress it with this seed, whether or not it be through affirmations, visualizations, even reading your scripts. I think that's the best time to impress your subconscious mind. Then as you're going through your day, my favorite thing to do is to ask myself, if I was my desired version or living my desired reality, how would I think, feel, and act based on what I'm experiencing, whether it's good, whether it's bad? How would I handle this? The reason that I like this so much is because when your subconscious mind is most receptive, obviously it's easier to tell it a new story without your conscious mind getting in the way. So creating this amazing life with this like amazing scene with either your person or the money that you want or the job that you want is much easier, and you're not fighting yourself because of your conscious mind. And the reason I like to ask myself this question during the day instead of sort of generally going with affirmations is because if you, especially for sort of people that are really struggling with their circumstances and they're on the opposite side of what they want, they're completely like the wrong end, it might be difficult to sit there and affirm, my person loves me, or I'm in this amazing loving relationship, because the last thing that they have from their person is, I never want to hear from you again, go away. However, I find personally that if I'm in a situation that's really bad, affirming doesn't feel great. But asking myself, if I was my desired version, how would I handle this? That feels better, because I'm not trying to be my current me, forcing myself to change to be the new me. I am literally just asking, what would the new me be experiencing, and then stepping into it. It feels much easier for me personally to step into a different state than to try and force the current version of me to experience something different in my mind. I have to change the version of me that I'm operating as in order to get on board that actually I am loved by this person, or actually the money is coming to me. And this makes it for me personally more of a, not only like a smoother journey, but also I find that I get my things in a much better way. Because when you're affirming non-stop while in a state of lack, I find that you either get worse because you're clearly in lack trying to just force yourself to have this new experience, or you don't get anything at all because you're not impressing this new story, and therefore the spirals that you have, even if they're few and far between, they seem to do more damage than the affirmations that you're doing seem to be doing more good. So I find that just simply stepping into a new version of myself creates this reality much smoother for me personally, and because it's a smoother process, the results usually come in a much better way than if I just hammered like a million affirmations into my brain during the day. So that's my process, and that's what I found works extremely well, and that's what I find creates the best for me out of everything that I've tried in the past.
Ah, man, I love that answer. It's very well thought out and very intricate, and it's not too far off from what I kind of do in my own world. The only difference being is I've never really been one of those individuals that is really involved myself with the idea of kind of asking like how I'd be feeling or anything. Not because it's bad or anything. I am all for it. It's just I've never really been involved with that. But I know a lot of people that have benefited from it, and it is a great way. And guys, honestly, you guys should test this out. You know, replay this part of the video, especially because that's a very powerful way to kind of get yourself back into the state. You know, because you guys know that questions are very powerful when it comes to this process, which honestly does lead me into my next question, which was, what do you feel, what are your top 3 most favorited, I guess you could call them tools, techniques, when it comes to this process of manifesting, getting yourself into the state, what are your top 3 that you like to utilize or have utilized during, for involving the process of manifestation?
Okay. One of them, I don't really have like a top 3 in terms of order. I just have 3 that I prefer. So these are in no particular order. I absolutely love doing a great daily gratitude journal. I think it's extremely important. I know obviously manifestation is all about creating a life that you want, but I find that until you can fill that hole with what you want, with what you have now, I find all you're doing is just chasing that level of fulfillment. You get your person, and it's like great, but I broke. You get the money, but it's like great, but I hate my job. And you get the job, and you're like, I want this. And I find that until you can really appreciate what you have now, even if it's nothing at all, and you can just find things like, I'm happy I woke up today. I'm happy that my mum called me. Even those little things. Until you can appreciate those, I find it very difficult to create anything beneficial. And even if you do create it, because you're trying to fill an empty void with this thing, it never works. We always think that when we get this thing, that's it. That's when we're happy. But we never are. Until we're happy in this moment, we will never be happy regardless of what we get. So a daily gratitude journal, just to say, like, this thing and this thing and this thing, no matter how big or small they are, I'm grateful for. I find it levels me out. I do it at the beginning of the day. Well, when I get to work mainly, so it's still like 9:15 in the morning. I do it at the beginning, and it just levels me out for the rest of the day. It just makes me appreciate the things that are going on. And obviously, when you're grateful for things, you're stating you have them, therefore creating more. So if I'm grateful for having like a lovely house, I'll always have it. If I'm grateful for having lovely friends, I'll always have them. So that's the first thing. I'm not much of a visualizer, so when I do my morning and evening things, I like to do affirmations rampages, either in my head or like out loud, depending on if I'm home alone or not. That one's probably number 1, to be honest, if I did have to rate it, but mainly just because I find it when I'm in that state of just like drowsy, sleepy, stay a kid to sleep, whatever like terminology wants to be used, I find it much easier to obviously impress my subconscious mind. And I just find that when I talk, I create an image. Even while I was speaking about my daily gratitude journal, I pictured myself at my desk writing it out. So I find that when I'm saying these affirmations, I picture an image better than if I was to try and conjure an image. So I use affirmations for that. And I think it kind of obviously goes into gratitude journal because it's scripting, but just generally scripting about what I like. So for me, I tend to do more of a detailed script. So some people just write, like I received money or I received love or something like that. I tend to script more of like a bit of a, as if kind of like a CV in a weird way. So if I was using my band, for example, I'd be like, I am the most amazing lead vocalist for this metalcore band. We sell out shows regularly. I get told regularly that I'm an amazing vocalist. And I'll put it out as if it was like a CV kind of thing. So a bit of a paragraph, but all just saying, I am this, I do this, we have this. And those are my sort of 3 main ones. And they're the ones that I've tested a lot of things. I've tested the 369, I've tested visualizing, I've tested every technique that I'd pretty much ever heard of. And these are the 3 that I will always come back to. Even if I'm testing something new, 9 times out of 10, I'll end up coming back to just doing these on a sort of regular basis.
Absolutely. I'm very much having an everybody is yourself pushed out moment right now because all 3 of those tools, techniques are things that I have utilized my own journey and the things that I kind of fall back on, with the exception of the gratitude aspect of things, not as much anymore. But the second and third thing that you mentioned, especially that affirmation rampage, I do something similar multiple times a day where I'll get myself relaxed. I'll have some meditation sounds playing, and for like 10 to 20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on if I have the time to do so, I'll just start affirming from the end, involving different aspects of things, or using affirmations. And that scripting exercise, that one's really profound too. I've seen a lot of success formatting it in that way too. So that's definitely great. You guys definitely test these out. All 3 of these, absolutely phenomenal. And just really keep in mind that if you are willing to engage in the assumption that they're going to benefit you and work for you, then that's obviously a really great thing. Which leads me into my next question, which is, what are your thoughts? And this may seem like a very straightforward question, but I know everybody's answer is different for this. What are your genuine thoughts on what a state actually is and how to effectively get into that state in full and stay there when it's at that too?
Okay, so my sort of the way that I explain states to my sort of self, I guess, would be a. It's funny because states are really difficult to explain until you know what it's like to be in a state. It's hard to explain it to someone. A state is like an inner belief that you are something, or an inner belief of something to be the case. So I can be the most like broke person on this planet, but I can still step into the state of being rich by tipping someone, because the reason that that is stepping into the state is because if I was broke and if I had the mentality of being someone broke, tipping someone would be a terrifying thing, because it's like I might need that money in order to buy some clothes, in order to buy some food, and that's being in the state of someone who doesn't have money. But even just tipping someone and putting that extra bit of money away, that is entering a state of having more than enough, especially if you sort of follow that mentality by placing yourself in it. So I'm tipping this person because I have more than enough money to be able to tip this person. And then what you're stepping into is the state of someone who has more than enough money to be able to tip this person, therefore an abundance of money. Hopefully that made sense to anyone watching. I find states very difficult to explain, but I think staying in the state is obviously finding what your desired version would be, or what it is that you want, and then figuring out who the person who had that thing would operate, and operating in that way as much as you can. So using the money example that I just gave, you wouldn't tip that guy going, oh, I'm abundant, I've got this money, and then immediately go back to go, but I'm broke, I wish I didn't do that, I wish I could go back and ask him for that tip back. You would go, I tipped this guy because I'm abundant, now I'm going to go forward the rest of my day not worrying about money. I'm not going to have this, oh god, what if I need it, I'm going to be like, I'm so glad I tipped that guy because he needs it more than I do. I can go forward knowing that I've done a good deed, knowing that I'm rich, knowing that I'm abundant. Even if you haven't got a penny to your name, just knowing it to be the case, or at least thinking about yourself in that way, is being in the state of, the desired or the wish fulfilled, or at least in that case, the abundant person. Staying in the state it's not the easiest, because I know that we change states all the time. Not necessarily I go from like rich, poor, but I can go from like happy rich, and then something might happen and I could still see myself as a rich person, but then I become like unhappy rich because something else has happened, and even though I still see myself as a rich person, I can now be unhappy rich. And states, they change non-stop. So I think staying in the state is doing your best to place yourself in that and then stay in it. But if you can't, I think it is just as effective to redirect your focus back to being in that state. So if I tip this guy, go forward as abundant, and then a bill comes up that I can't afford to pay, I can either allow myself to fall out of the state by going, oh shit, a bill, what do? I don't know what to do. Or I can go, how would, and goes back to that question, how would a rich person or an abundant person or my desired version of myself handle this situation as a rich person? Well, I wouldn't be worried about money, and therefore you've entered back into the state, which is just as important as if you were able to stay in it, because it's your dominant thoughts that manifest, it's your dominant assumptions, your dominant place where you place your awareness. So as long as you're just leading yourself back into it, even if you struggle to stay in the state, the act of redirecting and making it a dominant habit is just as effective. And that's my my spew on states.
No, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic answer. And the thing is, for all you guys as well, is it becomes a habitual thing, I feel. Based on my own experience, especially what you say about redirecting, that's very important. I've learned all too well that if we're not willing to at least make that attempt to redirect it, we may allow ourselves to stay stuck in that state, basically of not having. And it's interesting too that you mentioned the belief aspect of things too, because my definition of states is obviously there's infinite amounts of states, and every state we inhabit has its own collection, so to speak, of thoughts that we may be having, feelings we may be experiencing, beliefs, assumptions, etc. So that's a great example used with the money, because when you're in this state of not having, involving that, you're going to have a bunch of thoughts that will lead to a bunch of feelings, that will lead to a bunch of beliefs and assumptions that you'll be experiencing, and you'll just continue impressing the subconscious mind with what you don't want over and over again. So that's a fantastic answer, man. I really, really appreciate that. The last question I have for you, very straightforward, is what can we hope to expect from your channel in the coming days, weeks, months, etc.?
Okay, so coming up, I have a collab coming up with a channel named Naya. Many people probably have already heard of her, but just in case you haven't, it's a bigger channel than mine, much bigger channel than mine, named Naya. I'm really excited for that collaboration. I mainly have, in terms of content, just me kind of going over the importance of purpose in life, happiness, fundamentals, because there's enough, and I mean more than enough. It's overly saturated with just live in the end, bro, to get your desire sort of thing. And yes, that works. You can just live in the end. You can be a very depressed person and still get your desire. But I find that every client that comes to me that has an ex person they're trying to get back has had them back before. They've been like, I've manifested this person before, and then it went, and then this has happened. And I genuinely believe that the reason that this is the case is because they're doing that just live in the end, bro, kind of situation where they just saturate their mind with, I'm with this, and the subconscious mind has no other choice but to push it out. But because they haven't worked on themselves, they haven't worked on their own fundamentals, they haven't worked on their own values, their own self-concept, their own happiness without this individual, all that happens is, and like I mentioned earlier, they get this person, but they're not actually happy because all of the original things that pushed them away the first 2, 3, 4 times all just start to bubble up. So I definitely want to be one of the channels that people can go to fix their lives for good. I want to be a channel where so people don't have to ever return, because I'm not, obviously, yes, this is like in a business to some extent, but honestly, I started this knowing that I wouldn't get anything for it because I was here to help people. The fact that I now get like paid for it doesn't change the values of the channel. So I want the values of the channel to stay true. I want to make it so that people genuinely never have to watch me again, because hopefully I've helped them fix themselves enough so they can get anything they want and keep it. So going forward, a lot of my videos are very much going to be, here's the core values that you need to work on. Start working on them.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. That is absolutely beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Joseph Ally in a way, because he's expressed many times on his channel this kind of the same mentality where, you don't really need me anymore. You have the tools. That's it. Obviously, there's people that are going to come back regardless, like myself, just to show love and support, because you have a fantastic channel, and I really do believe that. But that's all the questions that I have, man. I think you answered everything just so spot on. I thought it was fantastic. And I might even have to go back to this video and replay it myself to get a little bit more of a gist of your answers, man. Pick apart your brain a little bit. But yeah, man, thank you for being here. It was a pleasure. Definitely looking forward to that collab that you got with Naya. Or Naya, I'm not sure what her name is.
Just Naya.
So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And feel free to reach out, Matt, for some one-on-one coaching. You can feel free to reach out to me. All the contact information will be posted in the bio down below and the first comment. So other than that, if you have any final words, just let everybody know.
Yeah, just, obviously my stuff will probably be linked below. So if you're interested in checking me out, by all means, check me out. But I've honestly had a great time doing this. So thank you very much, Joe, for having me again. Hopefully the people don't get bored of seeing my face on your channel. But, these are a lot of fun collabs. These are a lot of fun to do, these collabs. And, I'll keep showing up for as long as people keep wanting them. So thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. I don't think we ever have to worry about that. I think I'd say they're pretty spread apart. Very much so. So yeah, 100%. You guys have a beautiful rest of the day. Take care. Much love and peace.
Oh boy.